landscape mode and not portrait mode or whatever this time. Sorry about the delay of 1 hour, although, oh man, I gotta just direct for 1 second. There's two eastern tiger swallowtails on the ironweed over there right away. This could be a good stream. So, can I flip the camera around? Yeah, I can. Good. Yeah, this will not be a disaster like last time. Check the chat viewing options, make sure everything's top chat. All messages are visible. All right. Joseph Tvir, welcome. I think this is your first time here. If so, welcome. We're doing an outdoor yard tour today of the front yard. I think the last one I did was in late July. Now we're in late August. We've got, right away, we've got some Apios Americana, ground nut blooming right here on my little trellis thing. Very awkward blooms this year. Very out of season. Usually this is done like early August-ish, and it's just kind of started to push out a bit more. It's just really weird. This is a sterile triploid cultivar. I should also mention we don't have too many people here yet, but we're gonna be heading over to, hello Alan, we're gonna be heading over to my neighbor Joe's place today. Actually, we're gonna see how the quality of the video stays or dips or what have you, and we're actually gonna take a look at his swimming pond that he put in, I think 2 years ago, and see how things are going there. You know, there's some fun plants and stuff to look at. Joe's been doing a lot of permaculture, and but the pond is basically the thing to see, and he's figuring out a couple things as he goes along with the pond. Like controlling algae, and there's been a bunch of cool things, a bunch of not so cool things. He's not too happy with, I guess, the string algae right now, but he does have, I think it's southern red-bellied dace are breeding in the pond, which is a big thing for him. So all right, so let's go ahead and take a look around some things, what's going on here. So this is just the walk up to the house. It's always been a work in progress, I guess, but I'm settling in on, I kind of want this aesthetic here, kind of a lower, longer bloom time of mixed stuff. I hope Victor calms down. The thunderstorms last night have had him on edge, more so than lately. But anyways, so I'm kind of want to get this to be a little bit easier. I mean, I moved in, I did all this stone stuff here and found out how much work and how difficult it is to keep that looking nice. And so now I'm just like, all right, we're just going to use mulch like we do with everything else. So I ran out of mulch right about there. I was going to cover up this whole area and just let whatever came up and through come up and through. So next year, maybe this fall, I'll finish up mulching all this and then sort of putting in the stuff that I actually want, which will be, I think this is a one of the Tredscantia virginiana, I think, from further south. This is actually on the property when I moved in. This is a bunch of cuttings I propagated. So I want to just sort of scatter that in and through here. And there's violets and there's all kinds of stuff that seeds in from over there. And, I like this eryngium. Maybe I'll propagate more of this and dapple it through here and have that going on. So this little pot here is looking nice. I'm going to check the chats. I guess I can't see the chats again unless they're just put on. And so sorry about that, guys. I don't know why this is that way. Before it was kind of letting them pop up and stay there. But anyway, this is just a little annual pot here. Again, it's just some mixed stuff, some special violets and some special Rudbeckia fulgida in this pot. And these pots are not doing this hot this year. I don't know exactly what it is, but like usually these are so lush. I mean, you can compare to last year's. What's this? Oh, that's a Rudbeckia laciniata seedling. That's what that is. Huh. Interesting. Anyways, so this stuff ain't looking so hot. This Salvia guarantiaca just started blooming maybe like a week ago. Usually it's blooming by like 4th of July. And then this pot is just bunk this year. I did a stupid thing last year. I planted a row of sunflowers at my neighbor's house in her backyard, and it just kind of piddled along, and they were black oilers. And what happened is the genetics from those got mixed into my little landrace sunflower here, and instead of having these lovely big hydroid ones that I love, you can see this one's clearly a single stem with one flower, and I don't like that for my purposes. So now I got to restart with some hydroid ones from either Joe's house, which didn't seem to get any of that cross pollination, or these ones don't look too bad here that I let seed in. So anyways, we'll move on down the driveway here. This is the hibiscus, which again, everything this year late. Right now, this is usually how things are in early mid August, and we're in late August now, and things are just, some things are just starting to bloom that should have been blooming a long time ago. It's been a very weird year. Very, very late spring, hot, dry June, and then I guess things kind of got regular after that. But so aster, we'll probably check that out in a couple months. Winter savory. We'll just take a quick look over here. Some cactus pads I have waiting for some longhorn beetles. This all looks pretty all right over here. We've got my mimosa. Oh, fascinating. I don't know if we looked at this before, but this is, this is Schrankia, Ishrankia or something. I can't remember what genus this is now, but it set seed. And I am pretty sure there's no mimosa tree around here for miles, so it must have self-fertilized, which is very weird because everything that I read up on this tree said that they didn't self. So that's something for me to take note of. Oh, tiger mosquitoes, man. Anyways, path's overgrown. I haven't really gone in and out of this for a long time here. Side of the house. Creeping phlox. Maybe I'll do an early enough stream one of these years. Oh my god, so many tiger mosquitoes over here. Crazy. Absolutely nuts. It's like I walked in the special zone. It's like if I'm over here in the sun, they don't come after me because there's robber flies and dragonflies all around. But I step over there in the little shaded nook, and oh man, they just went for culture them. Yeah, I'm good. That's gonna be a hard pass from me. It's crazy. Just the, oh, hi, Baloo. Well, Baloo can get out of the backyard. So I guess Baloo's going to follow me around today. Hopefully not over to Joe's house. So anyways, yeah. So this is this area. Just some stuff I threw in for my neighbor along the side here. Low maintenance-y stuff. You can see the pile of junk that I throw here to sort of stop the periwinkle from creeping over to that side. But guys, I'm still getting over getting mauled by those tiger mosquitoes. It was like 7 of them just right. You walk past that little sink foil there. Oh, there's a red admiral on the Agasta key. So here we have, I guess I can talk about this stuff here. Oh man, they're coming back. So we have Agasta key nepetoides, the more spindlier looking one, and then we have Agastachy scrophularia folia, the more pinkish flowered one. And I think I got the bad genetic lottery because a lot of the plants that I have here of the scrophularia folia are more of the pale flowered type instead of the more richer purple. Oh, Baloo, don't go over there. Don't get attacked by mosquitoes. Just right over here. It's crazy if I took too many steps that way. So I'm gonna hope that Joe's yard isn't like this. It's a bit sunnier and a bit drier there, so hopefully it won't get mauled. But this is just a work in progress. Some switchgrass and Heliopsis helianthoides that I threw in here because it's deer resistant, and hopefully by the time I leave, this will look a lot nicer, more consistent at least. This is getting the consistency up over here. Salvia coccinea. This is a little landrace one that seeds into this pot. I don't water it, I don't fertilize it, I don't do anything. It just seeds in, dies during the winter, and then by the time we get to late summer, it starts blooming again. So I really like this. I'm just gonna pick this pot up and take it with me when I move. So this Baloo's first time in the front yard. I might actually throw him in the house because I don't want him learning that he can come out here. regularly. Baloo! Oh, here it is. You gonna come around with us, Baloo? Get away from the tailpipe. El gato. Might break my no cats in the house rule and throw them in the house. Oh, we got some swallowtails scrapping over there. All right, throw the gato in the house. Pardon me for 1 second, guys. All right, and we're back. Okay, so now that we've gotten past the all the feline issues here, let's just look at this bed I threw together last year. Probably showed it off on a couple of the live streams. This just got a bunch of neighborhood yard waste, and I've just been kind of seeing what does well in this weird mixture of sun and shade over here. So Eastern Black Nightshade looking pretty good. Berries should be ready to go. We'll just see if they pop off without too much force. It's a good sign. So delicious, very nice mild flavor. Just a canna, I think it's indica. Still looking for some with smaller petals. I would really like the wild type of this species and not some that's, you know, got some domestic blood in it. I want the small flowers that are bursting with nectar for the hummingbirds, but at least it's fertile. At least these flowers are fertile. Maybe I want Canada Edulus. I think that's the one they use for eating, but indica is actually pretty good for eating. We had a couple of years ago, we had a little friends party, Thanksgiving-y type thing. We had some of the canna that I think Joe grew, and we had a couple other things like lotus root and sunchokes, and I think the canna was the favorite of all the stuff we deep fried. So yeah, some stuff not doing so well. Nasturtium not going to make it. Some sage is doing all right. That one apparently just got crushed in the thunderstorm we had last night. Parsley doing okay. This basil looks pretty good too. This is just a little crappy seedling. Doing well. Tomatoes doing well. Sweet potatoes doing well. Celery doing really well back there. So I'm probably gonna put some kale in here, put a fence around it, because the deer came by once and ate some stuff down, but with the dogs and with sort of the way the neighborhood's changed in terms of like people putting up fences and people who've moved in and out with dogs, they've been coming through less, which is nice, because they're on a more natural foraging schedule, and they're not, you know, going the same half-mile stretch every day and getting nice and fat like domestic animals. They're actually foraging and ranging around for food, and that's good. So they are more than welcome to come and do some nibbling in here when they can. You know, it's a good way to keep some of the weedier species from overgrowing. We have the pot that Angela ran into earlier in the year that became the Florida lettuce. Bentley Angel Decau. Okay, I just caught this comment. Eastern Black Nightshade volunteered in my garden this year. I love the taste of berries. They taste like a tomato with sugar-free something. Yeah, I do. I love the taste of the Eastern Black Nightshade berries. It's very unique, and I do let them, wherever they pop up, I let them do their thing. And I don't second guess that at all. It's a great plant. Although I guess some people can be kind of allergic to it. So anyways, yeah, this is the Florida Icteca floridensis, Floridana, little nursery pot, some 10 sedge, and I bought these little metal ball things. I think it looks pretty nice. A good way to salvage the pot. Some Virginia creeper coming through. No mosquitoes over here. Fascinating. God, this is a native, was a conoclinium. What, ageratum was the genus maybe at some point. It's the blue mist flower, the native to the eastern U.S. perennial one. Some catalpa seedlings. I am very surprised this wing stem that I transplanted basically died down to the rootstock. I really can't believe that. But it'll come back with a vengeance next year. Saw a lot of wing stem when I went to U of M. I think it was last weekend. Lots of wing stem. So did a nice late summer view of the planting here. Some white snake root. This plant is so inconsistent with when it blooms. You can see it start blooming in late August sometimes. You can see it blooming in all the way into like October, November some years. Another native plant, toxic to livestock. Good plant for diversity of pollinators though. We're gonna step in here. Here's some of that Florida blue lettuce. The flowers have closed for the day, but this, it really likes to seed here. It likes being in the dry oak forest, oak savanna that is my yard. So this is upland boneset? No, not upland boneset. What species is this? I had the same problem before. What species? It's that it's threatened or special concern in Michigan, and I can't remember what the Latin is for it. The Eupatorium something. It's not common boneset, and it's not that that native slightly south of Michigan one either. But when I still work with Drew, he gave me the plugs of this, and I was like, oh, dry oak forest, yeah, that's where I am. So as you can see, very popular with pollinators of all sorts. All these little wasps and whatnot are having a good time here. Really is a feast for them at this time of year. So, you know, this is a really nice plant. I'm gonna take a bunch of seed of this when I move. You know, I gotta take seed from all these at-risk plants when I move. So moving through here again, strawberry ground cover. It's a Gallium, I think it's northern bedstraw. It's a Gallium borealum, maybe. Northern bedstraw is the common name. Looks really nice. It's like a mid to late spring bloomer. These are some nice little bug things that Angela got me for my birthday. So this, I feel, really looks like a firefly in flight. You know, it's a modified staple. This is hole punch. So I really like that. And this is a nice little spider made out of a combination lock. I really like the spider. It's got a lot of good energy, I feel. So cicadas finally going. Cicadas, poor year for cicadas up until maybe like a couple days ago, and then it felt like we hit where we usually are in mid-July, where there's just cicadas everywhere. So late this year. Late's the name of the game. This is, I keyed it out to showy tick trefoil, Desmodium canadense, and I feel like the first time I keyed it out to a different species. It wasn't really found in a sunny habitat. It was more of a woodland species. So now that it's setting seed, I gotta double check the ID on it. But again, I tried to key it out again, looked like canadense, but I can't remember if the seed matched or not. So this could be an important plant for me when I move. I'm taking a bunch of seed of this because as a legume and a drought-tolerant legume, this is a great thing to have on permaculture forage pasture. So I gotta take a bunch of seed of that. Variegated obedient plants doing pretty well. This is common boneset here. This plant, I don't take care of this bed with water like I used to, and some things have suffered, some things have been okay with that. This guy's been having a hard couple of years without supplemental watering, so eventually I'll move him, or I'll take some seed from him. Another ironweed here. I don't actually know what species this is. I collected this somewhere in Indiana or Illinois. I was just obsessed with the flowers on this. Just have a particular pink radiance, and so I was just like, oh well, I can take that home. It was just a little tiny plant at the time, and now it's grown into, you know, this size thing. So I don't know what species it is. I think I tried to key it out once. It might just be fascicularis, but it doesn't really matter. It's a good plant. It's blooming the same time as the other ironweeds. So early goldenrod has come and gone, just at the end of its bloom now, making the way for all the other goldenrods basically. So that's what that is. And this is a lovely little obstruction to my path here. I debated cutting it while I was on stream, but I'm kind of apathetic to that. And plus I want to harvest all this Desmodium seed here, so I'll probably just wait. Oh, is this a cloud of mosquitoes? No. No. Right by my water feature, which, by the way, I do add mosquito dunks to regularly. So it must be the native or the neighborhood mosquitoes all accumulating around this water source here. And I must be the first large mammal to set foot in the front yard since we got all the rain last night. Jeez. Well, that's one way to reduce the population. So, gee, it would suck if I took further steps towards or past this water feature and was accosted by more of these bloodsuckers. Well, we'll just make our way past then and see what happens. Okay. All right, back out into the open area. Maybe more mosquitoes. No. This is not going to be my evening. No. Only was a little drier. I will say I have not noticed as many dragonflies around this year, especially in the front here, and I'm not sure why. There's a lot of things where I say I'm not sure why right now. And grasshoppers, no grasshoppers either, but you know, damn it, we got to get over these swallowtails, so I'm just gonna suck it up and I'll just deal with the bloodsuckers as they come. So here we've got 2 eastern tiger swallowtails having a good time on the ironweed here. Whoa! Guys. So last night I just dumped out that rain gauge. It looks like we got, in a very short period of time, actually, I'll go back over here and check. I dumped it out without looking. We got about 1.5 inches of rain last night alone, so that might explain some of this madness that's going on here. But jeez, worst it's ever been. Anyways, so obviously the swallowtails are unbothered by my suffering, as most beautiful things are indifferent to suffering, I've found out over the years. There was a black swallowtail over here right before I was accosted by these vermin. Jeez, it's like a cloud over here. Speaking of clouds, you can appreciate the nice Eutrochium fistulosum growing up here. It's almost making me want to go get some bug spray. Maybe Joe's pond will be better with all the dragonflies. I'll show up a little bit early and just say, hey, Joe, I'm having some issues over at my house. You know, if I go out in the street, I should be good. We'll just wave hello to my little pond there, which again, I regularly bomb with the dunks, the mosquito larvae killers. So again, must just be all the rain that brought all this stuff out. Maybe we go over here. We'll look at an underutilized plant. There we go. I am free of being accosted. Look at this Virginia creeper. It's making a break for it right now. It's crazy. Here we have, there's not Eucharidia, it's a roach. Eurybia, there we go. Eurybia macrophylla, big leaf aster, not in the aster genus, but I guess it may have been at some point. Really like this plant. It has a pretty long bloom time. This is a nice, well-established patch of it here. I think I transplanted all these plants from Drew's house when I worked for him. So pretty happy, quite well established. Got some big ol', what is it, Parthenium something of folium here. There's the parent plant right there, actually. Nice big leaves. These will probably flower next year if I'm so fortunate. Hello, demons. There we go. So here's what I was talking about with the Agassicae, though, is a couple of the plants have these more deeper purple flowers, but this is what the parent plant looked like, was this sort of paler, almost whitish, which I'm not really a big fan of it, but you know, now that these ones are popping up, I'll just start taking seed from these. Just a little Kyle preference. And you know, actually, speaking of preferences though, if we look at the flowers, it seems like the bumblebees might have a slight preference for the purple ones here. So you can see there's like 3 to 4 of them on this one plant with the purplish flowers, and maybe only 1 or 2 on the whiter flowered ones. I think they found this out with Culver's root, was that pollinators actually preferred to go to the purple colored flowers, the cultivars, over the wild species with the white flowers. So There's a little bit more of it blooming in the back there. It's also possible that the Scrophularia folia crossed with the funiculum. I don't know if they've actually done that work and found out if they make viable hybrids, but this is a funiculum and has the strongly odored leaves, and there's a good amount of it in the actual planting. Look at this poor thing. This poor Lactuca floridana. I'll just send you back the other way. There you go. Have you lean over that way. So, all right, come down by the street here, go past all the dogwoods. Look at some of the stuff here in the nice baking sun, at the mercy of people who park in front of my house and whatnot. And look at this this march of strawberries here that's crept all the way from deep over in the beds over there, all the way out to the front here. It's fascinating and just on the move. So, pretty soon I'm gonna hack all these back and just use the leaves for rabbit and guinea pig food. I might even start on it tomorrow, maybe. Got a lot of things going on the next 3 days, but that way next year there'll be a bunch of annual seeds that'll just spring to life from underneath. There we go. Okay, so moving on from that, we have what I think is a sign of late summer. We have the first pasture thistle bloom. I think it's this one, and then there's a couple more plants over back in the beds there. But this is a nice big one. I think I read that pollinators prefer the wild type obedient plant. Sorry, I just caught the tail end of that comment, but my God, that's a big thistle. This is actually a small one here, surprisingly. I've seen them maybe 3 or 4 feet taller than this. Out in Ann Arbor, there's a lot of old pastures with a lot of, what's that plant? Autumn olive all over the place. So it's like, really old farmland. It's got probably very nutritionally rich soil that's probably also dry. And there's a lot of pasture thistle out that way. Are these plants from there? No. They might have some genes from that though, because I dug up a couple seedlings. I was doing work out there and I gave them to some of the neighbors. But but these originally come from 1 or 2 plants I dug up in Rochester Hills, Michigan, when I first found these, and I was so excited to have a native thistle. And I still am. It's a very beautiful plant. Look at that. Look at that. And very good for butterflies too, although right now they seem preoccupied with the Joe Pye weed and the ironweed over there. So looking over here, got this nice jumbled mass of stuff. We've got Helianthus occidentalis here. I might go ahead and cut this so my neighbor has a little less annoyance. Okay, I think we're back. The stream cut out just as I was disposing of the Chinese mantis that was over here. Anyways, what I was trying to say is this is a Kankakee mallow. It's a very sad Kankakee mallow. It's been fought back for multiple years by deer, by accidental snippings and burnings and whatnot. But anyways, the Monarda here protects it from the deer after it really gets going. So it's just really trying to finally gain some size after all these years. And it looks like a couple of the flowers may have gotten fertilized, so it must be self-fertile. So that's good. So I'll hopefully collect some seed from it this year. But anyways, yeah, there's a big old Chinese mantid. Had to get rid of that. Don't want that eating all my pollinators. The partridge pea blob looking pretty good. Lots of seed setting, lots of bees. Switchgrass flopped over, not too surprising. But we will do another live stream later in the year when the Salvia azurea and stuff starts blooming, so we can get on in there and see the asters and Salvia azurea and all the other fun fall stuff that gets going in here. So, but it's also a lot of Allium cernuum. That was all from seed from 2 or 3 years ago. The nodding wild onion finally blooming all through here. Echinaceas. I don't know if it's the seed line of plant or if it's just the conditions here, but they're just the happiest things gorgeous ears and something nicely mowed grass yard. Yeah, that's how it is. But anyways, yeah, I don't know if it's just this strain of Echinacea purpurea here. This is from, so the original plants came from wild type native here in Michigan, and I dug them up when the Friends of the Rouge moved their headquarters to a different building or place on the campus of U of M Dearborn. And they said, hey, everybody, come and dig up our whole rain garden, because when they move in here, they're just going to turn it into lawn. So a bunch of naturalists at the EIC went and dug up a bunch of plants to, just take home from the rain garden. And so I grabbed a bunch of the Echinacea purpurea. And then from my parents' house, there was one individual that was very upright, very sturdy stemmed. And so I was like, maybe I'll just take the seed from that and propagate that. And that's where this all comes from. But it's just had such a long bloom time this year. I feel like it's been going since the 4th of July. I'm not complaining, obviously, but it's absolutely beautiful. I might even, as the last thing that I do before I move, I might even take some seeds from this, propagate it, and then sort of distribute it in this open area there that you see. There's not a lot of stuff going on there. There's a lot of strawberry. There's a lot of aromatic aster, which is way too happy there. It gets way too much water and not enough sun, so it's kind of floppy, and it looks nice in the fall, but there's just this kind of big green hole through part of the summer. So I think these would be a nice thing to move into a bit there for the aesthetic, a bit more color in the center in the summer when it kind of needs a little bit more of that something. Because in the fall it's going to be a blob of color, but still. Anyways, you can see there's a helianthus. I think I keyed it out to stromosus. A lot of the helianthus complex in Michigan they're just sort of like, oh, it could be this species or this species. They have variable characteristics and overlap and blah, blah, blah. So, for now it's just stromosus. Over here, we've got this Coreopsis tinctoria. Absolutely love this plant. Want it everywhere when I move. It's been pushed out by all the perennials and the partridge pea and stuff. It's just how it goes, but here on the rough and tumble edge, it's quite happy. Same with the snow on the mountain. Look at this Euphorbia marginata, just a little one, just right here. And all the waters let everything else grow above it and push it out. So, yeah, it's just nature. And what we got going on here is I actually sprayed all this Eurasian, and maybe it was a month ago, and it's coming back. So I used a really high concentration of herbicide. I should not have used a high concentration of herbicide. So I'm gonna have to pull it, or I'm gonna have to spray it again, and I'm gonna be managing it probably early next year, and that should be it. It shouldn't come back after all that. But you can see some things that survived the herbicide, some other stuff. This Carolina horse nettle survived it. It's even got some flowers going on here. Probably flower within a couple of weeks. Maybe even, when things are killed back or cut back, they'll bloom. I don't know if you can see it directly in the middle of the shot, or fighting or mating. I don't know. Anyways, so sometimes you get stuff blooming in like December. When it type white yarrow, it bloomed in December, and I thought that was the coolest thing. So anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna spray it again. Oh, look, we got a little purslane that's native. That's a native, considered a native to North America plant now, or I guess it's not considered, it is, as all the data suggests. Alan could tell you a lot about purslane, portulacas. So, but anyways, what I'm hoping that next year is, I'll manage the yarrow early, and then maybe I'll either put some seed of, or some plants of, or something of the Coreopsis tinctoria, because this is a great place where it won't have much competition next year. Let it kind of get a leg up and established down in the rough and tumble area that is the edge of the street here. This prairie smoke also decided to come back after getting sprayed. Not too surprising. And if we look here, we can see some Aquilegia Canadier seed. It was Drew from Creating Sustainable Landscapes who told me that Columbine does not require a stratification if you seed right away, and so it'll start, growing in late summer, early. Yoink it out so that it doesn't get a beachfront established moving that way, although it probably will not compete well against the long term against all the stuff that's here, especially not the sunflower with the allelopathic chemicals it puts out. So it probably won't do too much over here, but I gotta get this under control was basically the goal of all this. So I might even go through and manually pull out all of the roots of the remaining white yarrow here. I'll let it grow a little bit so I can see it better, and then I'll go after it. Bouteloua curtipendula, which normally we would see from the other side, but we're staying out in the open, windy, sunny open area right now. State endangered grass species. This individual is from the Walmart parking lot across the street from me. It was an escape from a prairie planting there, and I get sadder and sadder every year as I see the groundspeople herbicide and whack back all the plants coming up in the cracks in the abandoned Sears parking lot, because it's like, what are you going to put there? what are you gonna put in this area instead? They had a whole planting of I think it was daylilies, just a strip down the middle of like a little decorative median thing, and it was just eaten up by Canada thistle in like 2 years. And then obviously somebody complained, or somebody actually did their job, and they went and they whacked everything back, and then they did it indiscriminately because it's Canada thistle. And yeah, so now it's just this bare strip of foxtail grass and other short weeds on the median in the Menards parking lot, instead of the beautiful native grass biodiverse paradise it once was. So anyways, this guy survived and is quite happy here, mingling with the Michigan genotype stock that's back there. Oh, I see a little bit of little blue stem that I must have transplanted there doing something, so that's nice. Anyway, so we may meander over to Joe's place now. Take a look at this columbine. This is a very happy Ecologia canadensis here. And Guylardia is happy here too. It's again, very hot and dry spot. This Opuntia CF cespitosa is pretty happy. I think I gave Brandon Maines Brandon Maines a pad of this, trying to get it to flower so I can see if it's actually cespitosa or like what it is. Because I'm not sure. I found it in what could be a native habitat, but you never know. We gotta see what the flowers look like. Penstemon digitalis, pretty happy here, sent some good seed. Would like to see more of that spread throughout here. A couple of seedlings coming up. More Guylardia. See, opening this whole area up would get so much more sun and water into this area, and will allow for a lot more seedlings. Like you can see all these. Also, sorry if I'm ignoring the chat. I've been kind of looking above the camera when I'm talking about things. So if anybody has anything they want me to read or see, just go ahead and blurt it out again. I'm gonna keep a better eye on the camera for a bit. Anyways, the Rudbeckia hirta, the tetraploid gloriosa daisy, bunch of seedlings in here. So if I cut some of the stuff out, that'll get a chance to shine next year. Anithera biennial primrose, some coreopsis that's over here, white snake root. Just again, a bunch of rough and tumble stuff, some Rugel's plantain. Rugel's plantain has really fallen off in a lot of the plantings. It likes disruption, it likes stepped on areas. Oh, I'm gonna get this crabgrass out of here though. That annoys me. I look at this almost every day when I'm pulling out of the driveway, and even so, some stuff like this. Well, that's one of the native sedges or something coming up there, sure. And then, hi everyone, hello LC. Anyways, yeah, it's one of the native sedges or something coming up there, and then again, give it a couple of weeks, and then that's not a sedge, it's a crabgrass. So just get these demons out of here, throw them on top of these leaves. They will desiccate and die soon enough. I think I am going to I was going to do some seed collecting, but with the feline situation, the flying feline situation, I'm not going to do that. So anyways, I think we will head over to Joe's place. I think I set an alarm, so I'm gonna just I'm gonna disable that really quick if I can. I guess I'll just have to wait for it to come up. Oh, this is nice to talk about. This is Dicentra. I can't remember the species name. It's the native to the Appalachians bleeding hearts, and I was skeptical every time I read that it would bloom all summer, but it does bloom all summer. It basically starts in like April and then goes forever. It really feels like some years. So I love this plant. Another one I hope I have enough shade for when I move. You can see some deer. Why the log have holes? Good question, Tennyson. I'm glad I saw that question. That was for planting stuff into the log. I put some mushroom plugs in the side. I put these holes in here to plant some sedum, the sedum tornatum, the native woodland stone crop here in Michigan. And what happened was the squirrels sit up here, especially in the winter, and they eat their acorns and stuff. And their comings and goings tear the plants out of the holes. So nothing ever actually got established on here except for the dandelion growing out of that one, which is unfortunate. But you know, you can't control everything in nature, which is nice. I think maybe I vented about this last time, but the people who take the trash, they took my pot. It was here for years. They took my pot full of sedum tornatum one day, and it's like, what the heck? It's been here for years. It's sunk in the ground. It has plants growing in it. So I got to replace that big gaping hole there with something. Just can't believe it. Oh, sneaky mulberry seedling. Normally I do all the woody work in the spring, since it's easier to come through here, and I just sort of flatten down the stems of other stuff. Ooh, the blue stem goldenrod and zigzag goldenrod are both starting to bloom. That feels like it's just a little early, maybe not too early, but Rudbeckia hirta again, Rudbeckia triloba. This is a nice one for sort of dappled shade. Anything else going on here in Scott's little planting? That back area is looking pretty good with all the bottle brush and the Rudbeckia triloba, but this area here just always been kind of a problem. It's been kind of hard to find something that really likes growing in this middle area. So there's white snake root that popped my Dicentra, has the worst luck ever. Somebody, I don't know who said that, I think it was JC. But yeah, the deer were eating it in the early season. I just kind of figured that it would rebound and get its phytochemicals up and running, realizing, hey, I'm getting chunks taken out of me. I should probably make some defenses against that. Maybe some Entenaria, some pussy toes here. That's another rough and tumble plant. A lot of sedges. A lot of the sedge seed seems to end up on the edge of the curb here. But anyways, yeah, so I just kind of let this, hoping that stuff finds its way in and gets established. Yellow jacket. They get kind of asinine this time of year. So anyways, but in the spring there's geraniums here, and I think part of it's just letting some soil build up, organic matter enriching the soil, and sort of letting the woodland's edge stuff move in and take over here, which that white snake root's a good contender, and then there's some of the Virginia creeper and whatnot moving around. So now we're going to see how this will go if my phone's going to switch to my LTE service as I walk, and I'm hoping that it will. So my apologies if we lose the stream, the quality. Karen's planting. We'll probably come back here in the fall and take a closer look. Very lush this year. Rosin weed, Silphium integrifolium. It's a very healthy, I guess it's technically Scott's planting. This is, it's now Onithera. It's a windflower. I can't remember what the species name is. Maybe it's Onithera coccinea. Again, it used to be, I guess the genus Gora is no longer considered valid. So lots of crickets. Monarda punctata is doing pretty well. Thank you for the comment of the rosinweed Dynamo-terror. So Karen's planting is looking pretty good. I need to get over and talk to her about some projects I have to finish up, but with Angela's dad passing and me being the only dude doing stuff at Roach Crossing, it's been kind of difficult. So some pretty hibiscuses, bunny. I don't know if anybody saw the bunny. We got a lot of California poppies here. This is going to be California Poppy Central again next year, I think. And there's some others, some Agastiche funiculum scattered through there. Some showy primrose, Ornithera speciosa, hop tree, Telia trifoliata. Finally setting some seed, and a bunch of nice horticultural monstrosity hibiscuses. So we'll walk by Tim's landscaping here. It's the problem with if you have a mulched bed, you got to commit to mulching it, and weeding it is the thing if you don't plant densely enough, because it will be a never-ending battle if it is not properly mulched and if you don't keep up on it. So here we have Joe's little down by the street planting. Needs a bit more mulch, I think. Probably something he could do next year, earlier in the year. The problem is with the mulching is he'll need to get seed from all the Gaillardia down here if he wants to keep them going, because if he mulches all this, it will smother the Gaillardia and the seeds will not germinate. So we've also got Joe's rock garden, looking a little long in the tooth with some foxtail grass, but there's some nifty stuff in here that Joe has picked out painstakingly. This is an agave, has survived multiple winters here in Michigan, and it's so happy it's sent out pups. You can see there's a bunch of pups here, and they go kind of all the way back and through. The ground covery looking thing here is actually oregano. This is, I think it might be Italian or Greek oregano, so that's what this is here. Kind of works as a ground cover through a lot of this area. There's some thyme. This is, what's that, Opuntia inflata that Maines gave me. He said it might be cold hardy in Michigan, and I was like, I don't have a place for this, but my neighbor does, so I just brought it over here and tossed it in Joe's rock garden. So see if it survives the winter. I think it will. It's just a matter of whether or not it's gonna thrive or not. It's this garlic chives. We're actually surprisingly good plant for pollinators here, and it has seeded in quite well. I like how everything's just kind of avoiding growing around this Opuntia. It's kind of nice when stuff you want kind of centered out doesn't get overwhelmed by other things. And then there's a miscellaneous other stuff here. Coreopsis. What is that one? It's out of bloom. It's this thing here. It's out of bloom. I can't remember. It's one that people have difficulty growing. Not lanceolata. It's not prairie coreopsis. Maybe it's prairie coreopsis. It's not tall coreopsis. It's not tinctoria. It's not tripteris. Elsie, I have tried cold hardy bananas, but not to much success. I need better accommodations and sun before I try those again. My friend Dan Greiner, who lives in a colder climate zone, actually has a huge stand of Musa Bazju, the cold hardy banana, and they do very well for him there. But he does like mulch them heavily. They're kind of close to the house or in a semi-protected location. So one day, not now. Grandiflora. No, I don't think it's Grandiflora either. It's again, it's a species that's maybe just Plains Coreopsis. What is that? Maybe it's Lanceolata. No, Lanceolata is like the smaller sand-loving, like biennial species. So I can't remember what this. Anyways, it's a species of Coreopsis palmata. I think that's it. Coreopsis palmata or palmatus, I think is what that is. But it's a plant that people complain about being very difficult to grow and it likes to flop. But I think the key is it just wants to be baked alive in sun and pretty dry, and that's what this area is. So it's very happy here. And then this is Pygnanthemum muticum, I think. I think it was one of the mountain mint species. Bentley is worried about Musa Bazju overwintering. I think the key is getting it into the ground as soon as you can, and making sure it's very well enriched soil, well drained soil, and you've got to really, I think you got to cut the stalks like before you do the mulching and stuff like that. Otherwise, I think the plant does something weird where it tries to grow more up until like the cold, and if you cut it back, it'll get the signal that, oh hey, I'm supposed to save up for the winter and not keep growing. So, but I do know Dan's was a big patch when I was over there. It was very nice. More Gaillardia. Without further ado, we'll start heading into Joseph's backyard. I will plug his small YouTube channel here for anybody who wants more information on the pond that he has. I think the name of the YouTube channel is Seed the Means of Production. A pun on, seize the means of production. So yeah, so this is Joe's front yard. Very dry, sandy, rocky soil, inverted soil profile from when they built this house. This is a newer house as of 4-ish years ago. I had recommended he plant Solidago canadensis for the soil conditions, and it's very happy here. As you can see, these were all one little tiny plant 3-4 years ago, and now he has quite a bit of goldenrod, which he complains a little bit about now, but it's hard to imagine much else being in this space nowadays, since Joe hasn't done like a major rake or anything on the... It's just weird conditions because of the soil quality, and then got these 2 huge cottonwood trees here that kind of give it afternoon shade, and there's a lot of these big leaves that don't break down too easily. But the good news is he's been building a lot of soil building going on, but I do think it needs a disturbance event to sort of let a lot of the seed bank come forth. So, but anyways, there's some stuff. There's some echinacea. There's a Liatris rugosa, I think, over there. This is actually late goldenrod, which is funny because it seems like it bloomed on time with early goldenrod. Seems like it bloomed on time with early goldenrod. Now it's done. It's just hilarious. Look at this. Like, I'm used to seeing this blooming in October, and it's not even September, and it's done blooming. So showy goldenrod, lots of goldenrod. Heliopsis over there. More showy goldenrod, stiff goldenrod, really goldenrod-a-palooza. So now we will head into the Joasis, as it's called. That was the first female differential grasshopper I've seen all year. It just flew by. This is Vernonia gigantea or mazurka, I think. And over there is Coreopsis tripteris, tall Coreopsis, and that whole patch is from like 1 or 2 little tiny plants I slipped in there like 4 years ago, and they just really like the conditions here, so they just took off over time. Got some Monarda. Some of this stuff is actually lower than smaller than you'd expect, not because it's younger plants, but because when Joe was doing some construction in the back on the pond or something, they had to fit, I think it was a skid steer back here, so a lot of this stuff kind of got run over. It's why this Vernonia is only that tall, and this one's this tall. And there's one more somewhere around here, hiding in everything. I think it's over there. So a lot of Monarda fistulosa, more goldenrods, Verbena hastata, hoary vervain, a lot of Siberian elms Joe will eventually cut down. Same with these mulberries. He might leave the cottonwoods, though I'm not exactly sure, but it'd be good if he cut things back and dropped it. It'll eventually go into the soil and become one with it. We've got Indian grass, Sorghastrum nutans, and the tiger mosquitoes have found me again. This is it's just one of those time periods, I guess. Some nice wild type hibiscus that have a deeper flower color. Those are found kind of local to us. Big ol' Aristolochia durior macrophylla. Not exactly sure what the proper terminology is for it now, but big boy. I'm gonna hurry and try to get as close to the pond as possible because there should be lots of dragonflies. So anyway, so here is the Joasis, and Joe may come out and join us and talk about some things in a bit. Some obedient plants, some ragweed, some ambrosia, some what is this, equiseum horseweed, some some asters, a bunch more goldenrod, some big plants and patches of sunchokes. But this is, of course, a bunch of eastern black nightshade here. This is, of course, the pride and joy is the swimming pond, which has natural aeration, natural filtration. It's looking really, the water level's looking really good. We had, because of all that rain we got last night. And, but Joe's still figuring out some permaculture things to put on the edges. Here you can see a school of southern red-sided or red belly. I gotta ask Joe again. Dace. These actually are breeding in here. And any of you fish people, Joe is willing to sell some of these. So if you're looking for this very difficult to find native fish, let me know. I can put you in contact with him because he's got quite a few of them in here. I think he started with maybe 12 fish in the fall, and they've grown gigantic, and they enumerated obviously. So it's a good place for them. Moving along, he's got a couple of breeding dace in his swimming pond. Impressive. I'll pass that along to him. He'll be happy to hear that. Different cultivars of water lilies going on here. A couple of them. They should be a lot bigger, but he drained the pond to put in this better stonework instead of the erosion control bags, and so the water lilies kind of took a hit when the water level dropped drastically, like to the inner ring there. But yeah, they're good. A lot of black swallowtails back here. I don't see too much. Oh, there's some wild carrot. Man, that's a sick pond. I know, right? Here's some more of that euphorbia doing a lot better in Joe's backyard. One of the mints, or maybe a pennyroyal. Some of my hydroid sunflowers popping up here and there. Big old batch of, he should put gar in there. I will tell him that. Big old patch of sunchokes, his fruit tree orchard. He got some really good peach yields this year, I think. So we'll make our way to the viewing side of the pond, and this whole area is forage pasture for his chickens, which are inside of the run there. Now I would like to add to everybody that when he moved in here, this was all, like 4 years ago, this was all bare sand. There was nothing here. And so he's been seeding things in and experimenting with what will come up from seed and what will be happy here. And of course, with the pressure of initially the deer, they don't really come back here too much anymore. And then the chickens, big old monster pokeweed there, gotta love it. Again, food for chickens. And the run has been reclaimed by nature. I guess after the ice storm this winter, I mean, a lot of stuff broke for everybody, but that was one of the things that had caved in. And now he's just letting the grape take it over and make it a little safe place, safe haven for the chooks. So coming up here, nut sedge. I can't remember what the Latin for nut sedge is, but maybe it's a sorghastrum? I don't know. But I think we're gonna try eating some of that this weekend, or not this weekend, this winter. Oh, look at this. This is from Kyle originally. Just have to point this out. It's a very small, very sad one, but this is a native stachys that must have hitchhiked in one of the pots of stuff that I gave him. So yeah, I like it. It's kind of like a cooler, not evil purple loosestrife, basically. So also in this pond, he had those broadleaf cattails. They showed up on their own, and gray tree frogs. Love this. There were tons of tadpoles last year. I don't know if there were a lot this year because of the addition of the fish, but you can still hear them sing pretty much every night here, which is really cool. Some other things, again, I can't remember which mint this is, or if it's a pennyroyal or something like that, but some figs coming to fruition. This must be an attempt at propagating them with some additional water. I'm actually kind of tempted to going up to my knees. I don't think Joe would mind, but I'll wait and see if he comes out to talk to us or not. But I kind of want to see what the full-size dace is. He says they like to hang out off in the really deep end over there. Let's see. Some zinnias. This is is it Wowie Zowie or something? Zinnias. I gave him this pot, and it's a little stressed because it's in water, but it's probably fine also because, I don't know, this is probably fluctuating dryness in the pot outside of the water. So, you know, he'll get seed from it. Do you have any snakes back there? There are no snakes in our neighborhood. I've never seen any snakes here. The closest I've seen them is about maybe 3/4 of a mile or a mile away at Botsford Park. I saw 2 male garter snakes there once. Haven't seen any since. Um, so, so yeah, there are no snakes back here. Go. No snakes back here to my knowledge, but frogs and toads, yeah. No green frogs though. Used to find green frogs when I moved in. On really rainy nights, there'd be one somewhere in my yard, and now not so much. A lot of the fencing kind of stops stuff from getting around. You know, not just Joe's neighbor's fencing, but, you know, just in general. So, but the toads and the gray tree frogs, obviously, gray tree frogs don't care. They're just going over stuff. This was some sort of fancy thornless everbearing raspberry here. And Joe did get a good crop from it earlier this year. I think it's putting out the second crop now. This, I can't remember. Really hope Joe comes outside because he's got a bunch of different varieties of figs. So this is, well, here's some yield here. There's some more. Okay, there's some more over there. There's pretty good yields on this. This is all this year's growth too. I'm pretty sure this died back all the way to the ground in the fall. So this is all this year's growth that it's putting out, and it's obviously got some roots in the nice moisture of the sand here helping contribute. This is maybe a dwarf peach, I think, of some sort. Again, I have to ask Joe, how does he overwinter his figs? He overwinters a lot of stuff outside. Like this is in the ground. Some of the other figs I think he put in his garage or in the house. With my Chicago Hardy, I put it into the garage over the winter. Here's the greenhouse area, very sick, with cleaned out hot tub, perhaps ready for people to get into it. I think this is an avocado, maybe? There's an avocado somewhere in here. This is a hydroponics rig over there. You can see all the tomatoes and stuff on it. So there's a big old reservoir vat in the bottom of that feeds everything. Looks like this other hydroponics rig, maybe he decided to pull the plug on this project. But the other big rig over there, there's a lot of stuff. I'm thinking Okinawa. No, that was something different type of sweet potato. I do know he's got a lot of cool stuff in there, and it's really nice because to propagate things, he can just plop it in the hydro balls, and it'll just root. He doesn't have to really take care of it, which is great. More figs. Again, they're right up against the foundation here, so they're very protected. They've got a southern exposure too, in part. Let's go meander over here and look at the grapes. More pokeweed. Gotta love you some pokeweed. Hope there aren't any tiger mosquitoes over here. I just saw a damselfly, so maybe they won't be. Some sort of small apple. Don't know what type. A lot of wingstem. Joe has regular battles with wingstem. Not that it's the worst problem to have. He can always pluck some out and throw it in the backwoods area. Here we have the terrace, which has a lot of herbs on it. A bunch of different sage, some hyssop, lavender, and then of course we have this big boy here. This is a Einset grape, which is, I think, one of the coolest. Joe's the one who introduced me to this. It's an amazing hybrid grape variety with good disease resistance and drought tolerance and all that jazz. And it had some very tasty grapes. Joe's harvested a lot of them, and I've eaten quite a few of them too. So if anybody's looking for a good permaculture grape, go for this Einset. It's really good. One tiger mosquito, not too bad. There's a fig, not doing too happy here. I do know he had a pomegranate that overwintered. These are just some like Concord grape varieties. He's not a big fan of them because they're not producing as well as I think he wants them to. Some more sage. a cup plant here from Joe's early days, and this was less for growing, eating things, and more for just, you know, getting some stuff in the space. As we also had a lot more shade. There used to be a whole bunch of box elders over here. Joe Pieweed. Joe loves his Joe Pieweed, obviously. Egyptian walking onions going, getting ready to come back into season. A couple of shoots coming up at the base there, but a lot of those good, really good plant, permaculture plant. Gotta have you some walking onions. Can't live without them, basically. Yeah, I think the pomegranate, maybe it died back again eventually, but it was here. He did overwinter a pomegranate, some sort of special pomegranate variety outside. Maximilian sunflower, another Kyle present that pretty much everybody who gets it as a present is quite fond of it. So we'll make our way back over towards the pond area. A lot of Onithera. This is just a neighborhood, your friendly neighborhood Onithera. I can't remember if it's biennis or one of the other biennial species, but I like it. It's good for pollinators. If we had more grazing animals, a lot of bumblebees over here. If we had more grazing animals, such as goats, it would be an even better plant to have around, which is why I'm going to take a bunch of seed when I move to get it in as an early successional species. So let's see what else. Rainwater tank. Hopefully I'll have to ask him and see if it's covered up. Might explain where some of these tiger mosquitoes are coming from. Another fig. I think he had done a little bit of pruning on this one to get some better yields. I think it's starting to yield up there. And I just heard a gray tree frog. Blueberry. Yeah, gray tree frog. If we sit here quietly, we'll hear another. So yeah, this is the Joe Oasis. Very peaceful. Other than my neighbor Karen's dogs, but oh well, the dogs. I love them. Maddie and Abby. You can see the Dace babies. Oh yeah, not to mention, you know, all the crickets chirping, which is just kind of standard background noise for me at this point. But look at all the Dace. I don't know if you count this as farming them or captive breeding them, but you know, it's still something. So yeah, if anybody wants southern red belly or red-sided dace, I'm gonna have to ask Joe which one. He has plenty of them available as I guess you would call these fingerlings, but yeah, and he doesn't feed them or anything. They get everything they need from the pond. It's just nifty like that. I have gone swimming in here. I haven't gone this year. I went last year, and I loved it. I mean, I know Joe's kind of a little self-conscious about the string algae and stuff, but honestly, this looks like pretty much any lake you go to in Michigan is going to look like this. So, and obviously there's no PFAS or anything weird like that going on, so it's just almost entirely rainwater. The first time it filled up, it was almost entirely rainwater, and I'm not sure, I think at some point he did use hose water to fill it up again. Maybe it was after the draining session, but for the most part it's filled up with rainwater, so very economical in that sense. And I don't think, no, the bubblers are not solar powered. I think he was working on that, but yeah, he's tried a lotus and a couple of other things in here. They didn't really take. Cattails again blew it on their own. He's planted in the water lilies, obviously, a couple of other things around, the irises and whatnot. Not a fan of that noise, but you know, that's living in the modern world for you. So, but yeah, very nice, very tranquil. Sorry guys, I had to turn off the alarm. Sorry if I cut out for a second there. Otherwise it would keep going off every 9 minutes. But anyways, yeah, anybody have any questions about here or anything in I can answer them as I'm starting to walk back to my domicile, so we can wrap things up over there. And again, his YouTube channel is Seed the Means of Production. Whose pond is this? Oh, Tennyson. Yeah, that's a good question to ask. This is my neighbor Joe's pond. He's doing a lot of permaculture stuff. This is a no filter, all natural swimming pond with live-in populations of gray tree frogs and red-sided, with either southern red-sided or southern red-bellied dace. Satchel has a question he's not sure about asking. That's okay. I want to see what that big thing over there is. It almost looks like the native. What was the base of the pond? It's the soil's all sand, and there is a liner. I gotta ask him what the liner is, but he basically did, like, you're supposed to use like a like a liner, a subliner, and then another liner in case there's a puncture in the main liner or something like that. So I do know there's multiple layers. For more of that information, again, you'll need to go watch his video on building the pond and some other things at his YouTube channel, which is Seed the Means of Production. So, but yeah, it's so funny and interesting to think about. You know, you could drive through this neighborhood and you'd never even know that this is here, like this huge pond and all these plants and all this stuff and the chickens and especially now with Tim's privacy fence, but you know, just in general, you'd never think that some guy would have this huge. I don't know how many gallons this pond is. I'm gonna say it's probably 10,000 gallons. Panthera nico likes all bugs but no spiders. You know, the orb weavers, long-jawed orb weavers, I don't know if I've seen them here yet. Curious how much it costs to maintain it. Other than Joe redoing some of the structural bits for aesthetic reasons, like these stones over the bags, I don't think there's much of a maintenance cost other than coming out and maybe spooning off some algae or introducing new plants and stuff. I don't think he really has to do too much to maintain it. The only maintenance I know that he's done this year major was gutting the old sandbags and putting in those new stones on the bottom. So, but yeah, it's really cool, and hopefully inspiring to other people that you could do this. Again, I want to say it's got to be somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 gallons. It's a lot. Like, there's more dace fry there. It's amazing how those fish reproduce in this environment with no predators. It's just bizarre. Oh, not bizarre. It's just, you know, it's fascinating how things. I mean, it's basically like with breeding bugs, where you take it out of its natural environment without its predators, without its, you know, specific niche that it does so it doesn't compete with other things, and you put it into this perfect environment for it, and it just thrives. Oh, there's a bee in the water. Let me see if he needs help getting out. Oh, all good. Cool. You got any turtles in there? No, we haven't seen any turtles in the neighborhood. The Rouge River is only about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away, but we do not get turtles here. I'm gonna just have a couple of Joe's Black Nightshade berries here. We're just gonna snack on these. Oh, look how plump they are. Solanine. Huh. This may be a source of mosquito breeding. I'm gonna just knock that over. Perfect. All right, I did my good deed for the day. So yeah, we will now make our way back to. Oh, this is a ground cherry, an annual species derived from the Aunt Molly's strain that Joe has just growing wild. The chickens actually love to eat the seeds, and then they disperse them throughout his yard. So he has a lot of those ground cherries popping up. Oak leaf hydrangea. Can't remember what that is. Some sort of sedge in there. Germander. Some ostrich ferns and some equisetum. So, yeah, lots of never a dull moment with permaculture. Oh, some partridge pea coming up where it can. That's surprising. Partridge pea is not too happy in this planting for some reason, and so it's interesting to see that it persisted long enough to throw some seed over that way. So, but yeah, so that's Joe's plantings, Joe's permaculture garden. Then over here he's got a bunch of pokeweed, raspberries, garlic, onions, strawberries, beefsteak plant, which was a big crowning acquisition for him, was the beefsteak plant. Maybe we'll go take a quick look at the beefsteak plant while I'm talking about it. It's not too much to look at, but there is a caveat with it that makes it very interesting. And Joe and I, and you guys will see it when we look at it. You'll see why it's interesting in this way. So this is the beefsteak plant here, which is I believe it's a member of the mahogany family. It is a very rare plant, and it's called the beefsteak plant because the leaves have, or beef and onions, because the leaves have they're edible, and they have a smell and taste of sort of like if you're cooking beef and onions together. So it's a very rich, very savory taste. But for those who are more experienced with urban ecology, it looks a lot like Tree of Heaven, like almost exactly like Tree of Heaven. And I don't really know how you tell the difference other than the smell. Maybe the leaflets don't have the little projection thumblet thingies like Ailanthus does. But Joe has almost accidentally pulled it a couple of times when he went through weeding for Tree of Heaven. And it would have been a very expensive mistake to make, but it survived a couple winters. It's quite happy here. I would like to grow this plant when I move, so I either need to wait for a sucker to pop up or see if I can find somewhere selling it at a reasonable price. But it was one of Joe's special acquisitions. So probably will not mind if I take just a little leaf and chew on it for posterity's sake. Tastes exactly like if you were making a ribeye with some onions. It tastes exactly like that. It's such a savory flavor. So something for, it's not native. I think it's an Asian tree, but it's something for anybody out there who's looking to get into permaculture. Just one of those quirky, weird things that Joe's found that's really cool. So all right, we'll make our way back over to my place. That's the Joasis, everybody, with the rock garden, the front prairie, the pond, and the pasture tour. I'm glad I could finally show that off to you guys, because I think last year I was talking about how I wanted to do that. So unfortunately, Joe was not able to join us, but you know, maybe we'll rush it in the fall and have Joe there for a Q&A, and I'll do a more dedicated stream to it and ask him ahead of time. Because I basically, about an hour before this stream, I was just like, hey Joe, can I come over to your place at like 7 or 7:30 p.m. tonight and talk about your pond? And he was like, I guess, you know, I won't necessarily be there, but you're welcome to come over. So but yeah, weird year. I'd say last year, maybe the year before, was more of a normal year as I'd see it, in terms of like temperature, when spring started, when rain patterns, all that stuff. This year, late spring, stupidly late spring. I think we got snow in May, maybe. Stupidly late spring, dry, hot, unbearable June. And then July and August, we've gotten a lot of rain, actually. I think the hot and dry spell kind of broke in right around the summer solstice. So that was nice, but I'll take another quick look over here at some things. You know, I kind of like the late in the summer look that places get. You know, like the vegetation's kind of getting done, and all that energy into seed production or getting ready for the winter. And then you got a couple of renegades, like a lot of the asters, you know, that will still have flowers going on. And it's just nice to see all the bumblebees too, and see that they're not being completely obliterated by multiple factors. My overgrown yard full of native plants and wildlife is so beautiful, says everybody who lives in places without venomous snakes. Yeah, that's an accurate assessment, Samson. Man, I'm sorry we cut out for a second there. I was just going to say, man, I just cannot believe that I got mugged by mosquitoes over there. It's insane. We got a little nuptial flight going on here. It's a tetramorium, I think. A little early for tetramorium, but you know what? They're going to do it. I don't think I've seen a good tetramorium nuptial flight in a couple of years. So I think this is species E or whatever they've identified it to now, if it has been identified. So yeah, anyways, guys, thank you all for joining me for this yard tour plus live stream. We'll do another one in the fall, maybe October. Maybe we'll even do a winter one and look at, you know, all the dead stuff in the winter and the snow for people who live in not so snowy places. So next week we'll just have a regular old live stream on Thursday, another Roach Wiggle, and we're getting into the end of summer here and the beginning of fall, and we're gonna start looking at the auction, which is going. Kyle, check your phone after you end stream. I will. Satchel WK. Yeah, we're going into the fall and the fall live stream. Oh, there goes a Cooper's Hawk. I don't know if you guys saw that. Oh, there goes a Cooper's Hawk. I haven't seen one around here in a long time, actually. So, but yeah, the auction advertisement will start very soon, and it will likely be the last weekend in September is going to be the auction, most likely. Again, promotional material will be going out soon. So with that being said, take care, everybody. I'll see you all at the Roach Wiggle next week, and until then, may your cultures and your gardens ever be bountiful.